All right, howlers, let's get howling. But first, a couple quick warnings. First warning.
Confess! These are my razors. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I don't think you can hear me. If you're not watching YouTube, you're missing out.
You're really, really missing out.
Thanks to Red Prince Rising, Jesse, for making me this sick helmet. Ben has one too, but he doesn't have an armor outfit.
For those listening on the podcast, Erin is dressed in full
metal panoply.
The two razors here.
Swords.
She's geared up. She's ready to duel.
I have Pyphoros and Bad Lass.
Bad Lass. And a helmet. That is pretty incredible.
Don't be a pixie.
Second warning. This podcast contains spoilers for the entire Red Rising saga.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Etsy, email howlerpod@gmail.com. Visit us at howlerpod.com and watch us be weirdos on YouTube.
And we're still raising the roof.
These are pirate swords.
Those are razors.
I'm sorry. This is Bad Lass. Here's Pyphoros. I was doing the stance where he has one like up and then the other one's like a dagger.
Yeah. Oh, I got it. I saw it.
I'm having trouble talking into the mic and doing this. So I'm going to stop. Yes. Watch us on YouTube. And don't forget, rate and review, 5 stars only. If you don't give us 5 stars only, then we'll make you get the bell. Confess.
And now, HowlerPod.
Ow!
Weapons, I ask. Honourable. Field? Dome. Panoply. He smiles with freshly picked teeth. Full metal.
Hello, howlers! Welcome to HowlerPod, your podcast for all things Red Rising, where every episode we dive deep to break down, celebrate, and discuss all aspects of the fantastic Red Rising saga by Howler number 1, Pierce Brown.
Ow, ow!
I am your host, Ben Reinert. I am joined, as always, by the amazing Erin Ayers.
Hello, howlers.
A chaotic intro today, but a fun one.
Did you see my armor?
It's roll-up armor.
Where did we get this?
I have no idea. I think it came in like a crate or something like that.
Snuggie.
Yeah.
Yeah. The crate.
Yeah.
Which is behind us as well.
Yeah.
And I think he came with the crate.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was fun.
Erin, what are we doing today?
Merch. No, we're not doing merch. We're doing chapters. I think I have abs.
I would call those abs.
Armor abs.
Armor abs, yeah.
I don't have the armor boobs though. I need like the pregnancy. I'm not pregnant, but I need Victor's boob armor.
Boob armor, yeah.
What are we doing, Ben? Chapters 71 to 76 with special guest Thomas Boomhower from the podcast Highkey Obsessed and our friend.
Yes, our Howler friend Thomas will be joining us later in the episode here. But first, let's load up this star shell and shoot straight into our chapter summaries.
Hopefully I don't shit this suit. It's like, I'm just going to keep it here.
I love it, yeah. Chapter 71, Darrow, Ashfar. Darrow, dripping in Leviathan guts, marches right up to Fa with Cassius and Severo on his flanks. Bodyguards swarm down to protect Fa, but Severo tells them all to halt or he'll blow the dart bomb he fired perfectly into Fa's chest. Darrow calls out Fa and declares his Ashvar. Fa is like, you can't even declare Ashvar. You're not an obsidian. Darrow's like, I am too. Who will vouch for me? Bueller? Nobody. He looks around to his old obsidian jarls, but they seem too scared to speak up. It's not looking good. They're like, should we run? Darrow's like, no, they will do it. Finally, crafty old Scard steps up to the plate and speaks out. He is seconded by another, and just like that, let's get it on! Fa accepts the Ashvar and then sets the terms of the oncoming duel. Weapons, honorable. Field, dome, Panoply.
Full metal.
Full metal.
What's panoply mean?
It means like armor.
Nice.
Yeah. Another callback to the armor.
This is made out of metal, actually. Okay, chapter 72, Darrow, full metal panoply. Darrow is getting a quick lecture from Cassius before the duel begins. Watch out for the spikes. Don't use your grab boots, etc., etc. Fa is getting his spiky armor put on. So cute. Little porcupine. And is armed with his giant, scary war saw. Not surprisingly, there are Gorgons with Fa. Atlas. Obvious.
Gorgons.
Come on.
Fucking
Volk.
Gorgons.
Put it together. Darrow is armed with Pyphorus and Bad Lass. Cassius and Severo join the circle, and Darrow tells Fa if he confesses, he will let him leave with his life. Get the cowbell. Confess. The shield. I'm just gonna hold these now. I can whip it. You better look out.
I'm feeling a little bit in danger.
Don't worry, they're not sharp. I didn't sharpen them. The shield dome drops over them and the duel begins. I'm sorry. I can't read and fight at the same time. Darrow quickly learns that Fa is not only huge and heavy, but he's also wily and fast. Darrow instinctively relies on the Willow Way, but everyone knows the Willow Way, bro. Stop trying to make the Willow Way happen. It's not going to happen. It's a Mean Girls callback. Darrow almost uses his boots, but listens to Cassius and spins away instead. He gets smashed by Fa and is spiked in the thigh with the poison spike.
And now you are dead. The rest is all theater.
Wow. Okay, Fa. Chapter 73, Darrow, the Breath of Stone. This is a long one.
Stone.
So,
do you want a sword?
hang in there. No, I'm good on
Okay,
the sword.
okay.
Thank you. So Darrow obviously anticipated Fa's poison spikes, and he's prepared. He's got antitoxins. He's got a blood leech. Darrow and Fa continue their duel. Darrow takes some more hits. He's been really unable to generate any actual offense against Fa and his thick-ass armor. But Fa is now clearly confused. Why isn't Darrow succumbing to the poison on his spikes? Fa then taunts Darrow about his played-out Willow Way techniques and tells him he is slow and weak. Overrated, bitch. Darrow, I just added that in there. He didn't really say that. Darrow realizes that in his panic to survive the onslaught, he was falling back on the Willow Way, thinking it some unimpeachable form. Well, it's been very impeachable, and it's time to adjust.
Yes.
He feels the European breeze coming up through a crack in the ground and starts to find his path and a new fighting form. Darrow,
Sick, bro.
he enters the zone and starts to free himself, reacting and moving and flowing from one move to the
I
next.
think you need your...
He's like, wow. He's like, oh, I took a wrong step, but I'll just
But it's okay.
turn that into a new move.
All right, this is scary.
Yeah, I told you.
Towards my eyes.
No longer the willow, now the breath of stone. He starts to land some blows of his own, picking off sections of Fa's spikes and armor and making him chase Darrow around and tire himself out, all while taunting him with continual clang, clang, clang. Confess!
I was late, sorry.
Fa is like, what the fuck? I've never had to fight somebody this long. He's rattled. He's lost in the sauce, and Darrow is fully in it now. My man is feeling it. He hacks off one of Fa's pauldron and hacks off a chunk of meat from Fa's shoulders. Oh shit. Arnold voice, if it bleeds, we can kill it.
Oh.
You get that reference?
By the way, on YouTube, this is like 3D where like the...
It's like coming at you.
Put on your goggles. I mean, glasses. Okay.
Yeah, you need to watch The Predator. The crowd, they're all freaking out now. They've never seen their allfather get worked over like this, let alone bleed.
What's crazy to me, sorry to interrupt, is that they're not all here.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of them are on different islands.
You got to imagine the radio chatter's pretty wild at that point, though.
Do you think they're live streaming it?
Somebody's got to be. Yeah. So soon, Fa, obviously, he's a fraud. He resorts to cheating. And the kin-trailed tries to interject themselves. Darrow, with the help of Severo, dispatches them pretty easily, and the rest remain still as they are surrounded by, the Volk Jarls that are starting to turn against Fa. They're now starting to take up the clang, clang, clang confess call, and it's getting louder. Fa, he's very sad about his Kinshield bros getting got, and he yells at everybody basically that, "You're nothing without me!"
He's so hypocritical. He's like, sheep.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you're breaking Ashfar.
I know, he's a bitch. Then he looks to Volga. She turns her back on him. This sends him into like an absolute roid rage. He goes after her. Cassius, acting quick, runs over and knocks him aside before he can reach her. And then all hell breaks loose. Some might even call it Bedlam. Fa gains his feet, and again Darrow tells him to confess. Instead, he flees like a bitch. He's heading for the Pandora, and he's going to nuke the shit out of everything unless they stop him. Darrow tells Cassius to summon Diomedes and the owls, and then the three best friends that anyone could ever have take off together, howling in pursuit of Fa. And I lived happily ever after.
This is the Three's Company that I want to watch. Did you used to watch that?
No.
I did.
Were you watching on like Nick at Night or something?
I don't know, man.
How were you watching Three's Company? That's like I don't know, it's from like 80s, maybe, in the 70s?
Dude, I don't know. I watched it, and they changed the blonde out like we didn't notice.
Huh.
Chapter 74, Darrow, The Hunt. Cassius, Severo, and Darrow pursue Fa as he flees towards the Pandora. Cassius called the Ra and the daughters, but Severo is nervous about Diomedes following through. But Diomedes and Athena show up, and chaos ensues. Our friends are here. They peel Fa away from the path to the Pandora, and Diomedes and his 4 golds, they take on the remaining Gorgons that had been protecting Fa, while Darrow and his crew follow Fa to one of the islands. Darrow falls onto Fa as he enters the feasts, and the fight continues. Fa tries to get the Askamani to kill Darrow, but Darrow flows through them.
Breath of stone.
Let me get my razors.
Breath of stone.
Flows through them while Cassius and Severo cover his back. They jump island to island as Fa flees and Darrow pursues. Askamani and Jarls follow the hunt, laughing and toasting across the sky.
Nice. Chapter 75, Lyria. Prove it! Volga flies to one of the smaller islands with the plan of shooting them out into space where they can find an escape vehicle. She's running. Lyria is like, hell fucking no. Time to face the music, my friend. Volga is like, no, I will not do that. Lyria works her over and sets excellent boundaries for what her friendship entails. I was really proud of Lyria.
And Volga says, "You are tiny." I was like, yay! Cute Volga lines are back.
She tells Volga she must choose who she is. Is she someone that runs or someone who takes accountability for their actions? Volga fights every instinct to run and decides to do the right thing. She will stay and she will face her mistakes. Lyria hops on her back, piggyback ride, and they fly off to find Darrow and the still fleeing Fa.
Backpack. Chapter 76, Darrow by the laws of the ice. Darrow still chases Fa. Thousands follow them now, which I'm bad at like imagining numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So how many people are like at a Chiefs game?
70,000.
So, okay.
Yeah.
How many thousands? We don't know. Lots of people. Finally, only the sea is ahead. Fa stops and drops his warsaw. Darrow and the audience stop as well. Clang, clang, clang. The cowbell was out of reach. Fa says, "What do you want from me?" And it's like, bro.
Yeah, leave me alone.
Confess. He starts to bargain. His voice warbles and he discards his voice modulator, which if you don't listen to the audiobook, it's like awesome because TGR is like going in and out of the
Oh, really? Nice.
the Fa voice. Darrow says, "Bro, confess already." Volga and Lyria fly up. Fa asks if he can leave if he confesses. Now he's begging. Darrow says that he won't kill him. He gives in and confesses. "Atlas is my master." He gives Fa gives the backstory, and he's proud of his brother, Atlas. He also, in the process, insults the Ascamani and the Volk, which, like...
He really just goes
he's,
out
like, just ready to...
shitting on
He knows
everybody.
he's going to die.
Yeah.
He tells them the plan about the 3-year reign and then the plan for Atalantia to be the savior, even though he knows it's Lysander now. He does not reveal this
Tricky
information.
little bitch.
Fa won't give up where Atlas is. Fa then calls out to his Allfather and falls to his knees. Darrow takes the heart-ripping out gauntlet from Cassius. Fa says, I told you he wanted the throne. And Darrow knows he can't be the one to kill Fa. Scarda is also not a good option because he's wily and wouldn't go along
Greedy.
with, the Republic.
Yeah.
Darrow says since Fa wasn't really a king, killing him won't make the executioner the new king. He says that the sins of the father must be dealt with by the family, so Volga must make the choice and deal with her grandpa. He gives Volga the gauntlet and steps aside. Volga asks Fa why. Fa tries to explain why he made Volga do the passage of stains, but before he finishes, Volga heart punches him, rips it out, unworthy. Nobody cheers. The Ascamani slink away. They're like, fuck, this is not going well. Severo jumps up onto Fa's corpse.
That was hilarious.
What do you call him? Like the creepiest town crier or something?
Yeah.
And he spells out the proposal they have of democracy.
With a K.
With a K. And I love this. He's like, you know how you are. You do. He's like, no. The Volk will vote on their new monarch with the Republic acting as the mediators. Darrow will not be on the ballot and will not interfere. And then nobody objects. Darrow and the crew then go up to the Pandora. There's still Ascamani putting up resistance in the ship. Then Diomedes gets in Darrow's face. Darrow's like, dude, do you want the Volk helping us or not? We need an army, and the only army we have around is the Volk army. So that's the only hope we have is that the Volk join our side. Severo is like, hey, let's go clear my wife's ship. Mm-hmm. So for now, there's killing to be done. They run off.
Yeah.
And we don't see it.
All right. The theme for these chapters is...
A new path. Okay, I'm putting these down.
Let's put the swords away. Okay. Let's talk about a new path. We've got several characters that find a new path this week.
Mostly Darrow finding...
I think he's the main one.
The path.
For sure. He finds his path that leads him to his new fighting form, the Breath of Stone.
It's great. I fucking love these chapters.
I know. It's so good.
I was just grinning the whole time.
It's so much fun to read. Like, this is just good old classic Red Rising fun. Right here.
And you're just like, Pierce, you son of a gun.
He did it again.
You son of a gun.
He did it again.
Got me.
Yeah, so let's hear this first quote. This is Darrow kind of having that moment where he's feeling the breeze. He's thinking about the path to the Veil. He's thinking about how the Willow Way is, old and played out now. And
well, he's got to change something, or else he's gonna die.
Like, it's time to throw the change up out.
Yeah.
So let's hear that. This is a really powerful moment. I feel like when he's feeling this breeze, he kind of goes like we get a whole 2 pages inside of Darrow's head that's not fighting.
Right.
And it starts
but
here.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's so easy to forget the lessons we learn. I breathe in and out, centering myself, and find the smallest of your open breezes making its way into the dome. I realize after a beat that the cold air must be coming up from a crack in the ground, from the hollow core of the island itself. It is, just where Fa's first strike hit and broke the marble. The stone breathes, as it always has done.
As it always has.
It's like Enya's playing softly.
This is like that
no,
first...
it's the Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, that's I like that.
And then she's like whispering, and then the horses come around. You
totally nailed that, by the way.
Thank you.
Yes, so this is kind of that first moment of realization where he stops. We've had that initial like shock of the first minute of the battle,
and you're like, oh my god, it's like another. it's very stressful.
Yeah.
When he fought Apple, it's kind of like,
Right.
bro,
Yeah.
what have you been doing?
Mm-hmm.
Losing is what you've been doing.
Right.
And
then
now we're winning.
Yes, and I love how he has that moment of realization where he's like, you know, he had that initial shock and like he fell back on what he knew, but now he's been reading the path to the veil and he knows that the way forward is to take a different approach, right?
Yeah,
and
can't
so
be a claw drill.
yes,
Got to be wind.
the wind that flows through and around and over.
It's also Pocahontas.
Yes, like embrace your inner Pocahontas,
Yeah.
Darrow. For
Be the
sure.
river.
Be the river. Yeah. So I think this moment of realization is just beautiful. The imagery there is beautiful. Him like stopping in the intensity of that moment and then just feeling that small breeze, I think it is great. And then later on, he talks about the Willow Way, and this is really where we start to get into the development of the Breath of Stone and this new path, this new fighting path that Darrow's on, where he's finding what works for him.
I thought there was no potential beyond mastery of the Willow Way. Even training with Cassius in the pinched confines of his dueling room felt as though we were only refining that craft. No, we were sharpening my fundamentals so I could find my art form.
Nice.
I love the call out of my art form.
Yes.
Like that's incredible.
And it's like, Lorne was the greatest Razor Master of his generation.
Yeah.
It's a new gen, bro.
Yes, it's new gen. You've been studied.
This is gen A-Z-Z-Z-Z-Z.
Well, I'm just loving like how everything that he's doing in this book is him kind of recognizing the things that he was holding on to and how those things were holding him back. And like those old ways were not solving his problems. In fact, they got him into the worst situation he's ever been in his life.
Everyone's wise to it.
Yes. I mean, this is just everything. Not only is it his fighting style, but it's just like his penchant for just running headlong into whatever.
Being a bull in a china shop.
Yeah, him going on to Mercury. Like, yes, he did a lot of good to like try and save his army, but at the same time, like all of that situation, even from the very
being
start,
on Mercury,
could have been avoided if he's more flexible with the way he approaches things. So like, I love this realization that Darrow's having, and it's down to every single thing, including the Willow Way, which he thought was so like no one can beat this. But at the same time, he lets that go, and he realizes that now it's time for him to develop himself and find a new path.
And he doesn't let it all go. He takes
Builds on
everything
it.
he's learned to make like a moving Willow Way, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Don't be the tree that pivots.
Yeah.
Like move with the.
Yeah, he's got not centered
Be
in
pushed
one
around,
place.
yeah.
And he can move around now and like play off of it and just be more in a flow state. And it's incredible description. I just love that aspect.
It makes me like, man, I need to meditate more.
Yeah, right.
I need to get into the path.
Well, it makes you want to just like work on a skill so that you can get into this like zone area. Cause like, I don't know, like it's so much like being a kid or something. Like you do all this type of stuff when you're a kid where you like have the free time to work on stuff or like be really into something, but as you get older, you're doing work all the time. You lose your hobbies and stuff like that. But those are the moments like when you're not thinking about anything that gives you anxiety and you're just like
just in the moment.
Right. You're completely
like
in the moment and you're free and you're in your body doing your thing. It's like those are the moments that are special, I feel like. And Darrow discovering that again is really cool. Okay. So let's also talk about Lyria and Volga. Volga, she decides on a new path for herself, and it's spurred on by this really incredible speech from Lyria. And I wanted to put this like whole thing in there because it's so good.
Yes.
Like there's like 3 paragraphs though, so I had to kind of cut it into just one section. But dude, this is so good.
Lyria killed it.
I absolutely love Lyria so much.
And she even says it. She's like, I have convictions.
Yeah. Yes. It's incredible.
I'm like, hell yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You don't get to run anymore, Volga. I'm glad you didn't tear out my heart and throw it in the fire. Really, thanks. I'm glad you didn't have that in you. But you killed 13 people before me. 13 women. What the fuck? You might not be broken, but you got stains on your hands. If you run away now, you always will. Don't you think that's what Ephraim would tell you? You have to face what you've done. You said your people are here. Prove it.
Wow.
Prove it,
Great
Volga.
job, Nick. That was incredible.
I like when Lyria like throws sand at her.
Yes.
Like, fucking listen to me.
I think the most powerful part, and I couldn't include it because I wanted to kind of get more context, but I think the most powerful part of that is when Volga, this whole speech, kind of like what kicks this off, this speech is like, Volga goes, but they'll kill me if I go back, you know? And
she's like, so what?
Yeah, then they kill you.
Right.
That's what is right. Like,
right.
I think that is just incredible. Like, that shows you the level of conviction that Lyria has. Like,
yeah.
No matter what, like, yeah, they are going to kill you, but that's what you have to do to be accountable, you know, for this situation. Like, you just killed 13 people. Like, if they kill you, they kill you. Because
even before the 13, she also helped Fa kill all these other people and take prisoners and slaves.
But it's the right thing to do. And, you know, compare this. And this is where I really love to compare like Lyria and her convictions and how much she believes to Lysander, because he's not willing to die for what he actually believes in with his morals, because he will go along with it. You know, like he doesn't think what Atlas is doing is right, but it gets him a means to an end for him that he wants. Yeah. And so he's not willing to like put his life in danger in that situation to stand up for what he actually thinks is right. But he'll just go along with it because he ultimately can justify it to himself that he's
like,
getting
I'll
to.
fix it later.
Right, exactly.
I'll kill him later. Yeah.
But think about that.
As long as I'm not going to die.
Right. So I just love that, like, that purity of intention and conviction that Lyria has. And she finally sets Volga straight. Yeah. Volga gets back on the path that we always like expected her to be on. And I think it's a super powerful moment. I love that speech from Lyria. Lyria is amazing.
And this Lyria bringing Volga in and making her not run away is really the only chance we have of getting the Volk to like do what we want them to do in the next set of chapters.
Yeah, there would be no chance to like find a leader for them like that they would accept probably. Right. So and then speaking of the Volk, like they also get a new path, right? Yeah. So, you know, Daryl talks about their religion and just how they're ruled by fear and power and that kind of thing. And now they're getting this chance at democracy. So let's hear this quote from Darrow.
The Obsidians is a cult of silence that follows strength. That silence is called honor, but really it's fear. The seeds of resentment sown here will grow to yield more destruction. The Obsidians will rebel again or, when I die, start the cycle all over. I cannot decide their fate, either by sitting on the throne myself or installing a puppet. Yet if I leave the throne empty, they will destroy each other in their rush to fill it. Nothing will change. So I will try to get them to tread a thin line between chaos and tyranny, a fragile experiment that we call democracy.
Democracy.
With
a K. We have to say it every time.
We have to say it. It's misspelled. I don't know why. Because it's the new democracy.
I think it's actually because it's the old democracy.
Okay. But in the future.
Right. But it's space. Like the Greek spelling of democracy, I think.
After
it is. The C is anglicized.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think that's what's going on. Great. I'm trying to sound really smart here. So
you always do. And I just believe you. That's how this works.
It's just about confidence, really.
And that's what Darrow's showing here.
Exactly.
It's confidence.
Confidence. And yes, now like the Obsidians are getting a chance to do something different. Like they've
been chafing against this path that they've been on ever since Sephi was killed.
Right.
Sigurd was like, we need a queen back. Like this isn't working.
Right.
With the king.
Yep. And it's been very just like kind of a circle of destruction for them. We're just going kind of round and round. They can never really
toilet
get
drain.
Yes, never can get out of the same patterns. And it's like a snake eating its own tail, you know. And this gives them a chance to break those patterns, find a new path where they can choose their leaders democratically,
Yes.
and then actually go from there and see if they can hold it together with that. So we'll see.
We'll see.
But that is our theme for this week, a new path.
Thank you, Nick, for the quotes.
Yes, Nick, great job. Let's move on to our next segment, a favorite here on HowlerPod. How was Cassius hilarious today?
How was he hilarious today?
I picked out, I mean, there's not a lot of Cassius hilarity.
There were a few where, like, Severo was funny.
Yeah.
Like, them together was funny, but yeah.
I kind of liked when Cassius took a shot at Severo when he's, like, helping Darrow out, when he's giving Darrow the pep talk. He says his armor is as thick as Severo's head.
Nice.
Which is pretty good.
That's funny.
But the moment that I did pick was at the very end of these chapters when they're on the Pandora and Severo's like, we got to get all these Askamani out of this place. It's filthy in here. And Cassius goes, oh, now you care about a ship being clean. That's rich.
Yeah.
And then there's the joke later on about cleaning out your halls. And Severo's like, fucking fuck off, man. Let's go.
Yeah. He was hilarious.
Yeah. So that was Cassius being hilarious.
He was also sweet today because he was like very concerned about Lyria.
Yes. I mean, that's just classic.
Like
Cassius.
he's like guarding Darrow, and then the minute Lyria's in danger, he's like, sorry, Darrow.
Yeah. Let's savor these moments because
they're few.
There's not many left.
I know.
All right, now that we've talked about our theme and Cassius, let's bring on our guest.
Our special guest, Thomas Boomhower.
Yes, please welcome to the HowlerPod stage, Thomas.
Up next. Oh, wow.
There he is. I love it.
Goodness. Thank you for gracing us with your presence.
A man of distinction.
Are you wearing pants under that?
HowlerPod, I found you.
Incredible. We love it. Welcome.
When I heard that you would be covering Lightbringer, I wept for your purity, for your valor. And where has that brought you? To me.
Incredible. Did you have to practice this?
Wait, are you done?
I did. I've been rehearsing.
I did. I've
for
been
weeks,
rehearsing.
For weeks.
Well, please welcome Thomas Boomhower,
AKA Apollonius,
of Highkey Obsessed, to the podcast. Welcome, Thomas.
Thank you for showing up naked.
I have a tank top and shorts on.
Oh, man. Seeing behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us. Why don't you give our listeners a quick rundown of your podcast and a little bit about yourself and how much you love Red Rising?
I love Red Rising all the way. This much, even. So I am Thomas Boomhower. I'm the host of Highkey Obsessed, a podcast about pretty much everything and anything. I started off, it has a back catalog, a few seasons now. The first several were basically literally a different topic every episode. And then I switched to a season-long focus. So I have a season on heists and heist movies. And I have a season on Alexander the Great, which is yet unfinished, but will be finished.
Nice.
And I have a forthcoming season in March about women in history, co-hosted by Cassie from Sharkbait's Bookshelf. And special guest appearing on that, Erin Ayers.
Nice.
And Ben's been on
I've
Highkey
been on
Obsessed.
a couple, yeah. And I think we
Yes.
were on an episode with you, and we talked Red Rising as well. I think
Yes.
both of us.
Yes, you were on my first episode,
Nice.
both of you. And then Ben has been on to talk about a couple movies. And I was on an episode of HowlerPod. We did
Yes, we did the
Words
Iron
and Whiskey
Gold.
together.
Did you do the Iron Gold book draft? Was that what it was?
I did.
Yes.
I did, and I crushed you guys.
Yeah,
For the voters. For the voters.
For the voters. The votes are in.
Damn
Democracy.
it. Democracy with a K.
The
Damn
noble
it.
lie.
Strikes again. And then yes, we were both, us and Thomas were co-hosts on the Words and Whiskey podcast for their season covering
The Greenbone Saga.
yes, the lovely Greenbone Saga. There's a lot of episodes of us talking about the Greenbone Saga.
Yes. So if you have been entertained by Thomas and his
Yeah.
robe and his fire, for those not watching on YouTube, Thomas is in front of a fire overlooking what seems to be a large city.
It's a medium-sized city,
And
actually.
he's wearing a robe allegedly with
A
clothes
nice
underneath.
Plush
It
burgundy
is
robe.
maroon.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Swilling some bourbon at the piers. So living the life, as they say.
As they say.
Thank you.
And
I will let you in on another secret. It was actually Arnold Palmer. I left my bourbon at home.
you love an Arnold
you-
Palmer.
Of course it's Arnold
I
Palmer.
do.
Guilty as charged.
And then tell us real quick how you found the Red Rising saga.
So I found Red Rising in about 2015 or 16. I think it was right after Morningstar came out. And I was about 20 or so, and I was in that position where like you're outgrowing your childhood favorite series, but hadn't yet found an adult book that I was really rocking with. And my favorite childhood author, Rick Riordan, had a blog at the time where he kind of like published about what he had been reading. And so he wrote about Red Rising, and it sounded really interesting. And so I picked it up. I read the first couple chapters, put it down, didn't pick it up for like a year.
Wow.
And then I picked it back up and have been obsessed ever since, basically.
That's
I've just
awesome.
been reading it, rereading it. I read Golden Sun in a day, like most of us. And, I've just been obsessed watching this fandom grow and, there's a bunch of podcasts now. Everything's crazy. And it really is just incredible, the series.
It is. And the series brought us together.
Yes, now
With you.
we're friends because of Red Rising. How
Yes.
cool is that?
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. Like how many friends we've all made from this.
I love it.
Let's talk Lightbringer. So I,
Yes.
have heard your personal reactions, but the people have not.
Tell the people what
So-
they want.
Please tell us. We gotta hear like your Lightbringer thoughts, your reactions, like your own little. Give us the Thomas personal review.
Okay, so I have a book club with my mom. I like to buy her books that are my favorite books. Because when I was a kid, she took a children's literature course in college and would share those books with me. And I really missed doing that. So one year for Mother's Day, I got her the first 5 Red Rising books at the time. And she read them very fast and then was like, what the fuck? Where's this last book? You told me this guy writes fast. And then so I had to wait for Lightbringer. And then Pierce Brown came to New York City. I live in upstate New York, and she bought us tickets to go to the event. And so we're going there, we're rereading, we're like finishing our Dark Age reread as we take the train down to the city. And we get to Barnes and Noble, we get the book, and we sit down and just immediately start reading. And so I get that. I had taken the day off from work. I had the next day off from work so I can just read. And so I read it. Somehow my plans went awry. Ben finished it before me. So I was able to finally, for the back half, text Ben my like live reactions. And I think it's kind of by far the best book in the series. It's so incredible. I think it's just like an accomplishment, especially coming off the grim darkness of Dark Age.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think we know a little bit of the inside baseball, or even a lot of the inside baseball, of how much Pierce struggled to write it. And so I think that, and then the fact that he landed it so well, and that there's all this character growth, there's all this development. I think it's really just a really impressive work. And it's not perfect. There's flaws, of course, but it's bloody damn near perfect.
I love that little cute story about your mom and you reading the book together.
Did your mom like it?
Yes.
She loves
what's
it.
Mama Boomhower's review as well?
She big HowlerPod fan. She comments on your guys' Instagram posts from time to time. She told me to tell you, actually, I saved it for this, that she said, "Hi, friends," when she saw you on YouTube, and that she's excited to see you guys.
Yes.
Hi, Thomas's mom. We're also excited to talk to you.
Hello.
She also was a big Greenbone Saga fan, so that's how she became acquainted with you guys at first.
Okay.
Nice. Yes. Okay, so let's get into the chapters.
Yeah, let's talk chapters 71
And
through
by the way,
76.
Thomas, you're gracing us with your presence on, I think, the most exciting chapters
It's a good week.
in the whole book.
It's such
in
a
the whole
good week.
series,
It is.
maybe.
I think so. When you guys first asked me to come on, and am I allowed to say who the guest will be for the last ones, if you even know?
No, don't say it yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
This
Well,
is a tease.
This is a tease. Everybody's going to think it's Pierce Brown.
Your last guest
Sorry, that's
claimed-
not it.
when the amorphous possible guest for the conclusion of this book called dibs, I was very upset. Logan was very upset.
Yes.
And then I realized that Miles, who I need to become friends with, claimed the Mustang running from Apple chapters.
Yes, the
basically.
labyrinth.
The chaos of that,
Yep.
the labyrinth. I was also upset. And then I was like, hold on a minute. Clang, clang, clang.
Nice.
Still available, which feels very much my speed based on the episodes Ben has been on Highkey Obsessed about.
I agree. You're like
So,
an
very
action
exciting.
aficionado. So
Yes,
I
you
am.
are. We brought on the expert
yes,
when we needed him.
exactly.
Him. I have a superpower when I read these scenes, and it's that I picture in my head the kind of drumming thing from Troy when Achilles and Hector are dueling. That plays in my head during all these scenes.
Nice.
Really helps.
That is such a good duel. I just watched that the other day,
Yeah. I need
and
to rewatch.
it's really good. But like, it's crazy how that all plays out because you like are cheering for Achilles for the whole first part of the movie. Like, he's awesome. He's Brad Pitt. He's beautiful. He's great. And then the Trojans are kind of bad, but then Hector is like so noble and good that you start to like Hector, and then Achilles turns into this like terrible, ugly version of himself and kills Hector. And it's just
It's kind of like how the
so well done.
Ascamani we're seeing fall.
Yeah, exactly. It's so well done. I love that duel. So speaking of Fa, let's start there. Fa the fraud. Fa the fraud. What do you think of this whole plot twist? Where are you at on this? Like, I know some people are upset he's no longer the badass that he was. It is quite a twist. I mean, gave us full Wizard of Oz vibes here. What did you think on this one?
So I didn't predict it to this extent, but I do think that I figured he would be somewhat of a fraud because he was just so singularly impressive that it didn't make sense that he was such an outlier. And I didn't think, Pierce is a big twist guy. He's a big subverting expectations, but in a good way guy. It just didn't sit right with me that this would be Ragnar's actual father doing all this stuff and tarnishing Ragnar's legacy this way. And so I saw a twist coming. I think I thought that the voice modulator thing would be fake once I heard TGR
Oh, really?
rendition of it. I thought, okay. So that part didn't surprise me as much just because it was so crazy.
Yeah. I was like fully convinced.
You've heard it, right?
Yeah.
TGRs.
Yeah. I was like fully convinced that this was not Ragnar's dad, which turns out to be the one true thing about him.
Yeah. Mostly Ragnar's sperm donor, really.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. But I thought that was bullshit.
But so
then,
the thing with me is that, like, he's more jumped up. Like, he's not a fraud. He is that dangerous. He is that impressive. He just also has all these tricks and things at his disposal.
So, yeah, I think that's a really great point. Yeah.
Well, but the fraud is the whole Atlas thing.
Yes, but I don't think, like, for me, it doesn't make him less of a badass, this situation. Like, Fa is
Just because
still...
he has a financial backer.
Well, just because he's, like, not who he says he is and he uses a voice modulator. Like, he's still this incredible force of nature. He's still able to harness all of this power. And he's also, like, extremely clever, smart. Like, that makes him almost more scary and more badass in my point.
Because he doesn't even like doing this shit.
Right.
This is just his job.
Yeah. He's full on,
he
like,
hates this.
yeah.
And
I'm
Daryl
over
even kind of empathizes with him. Like, you know, who knows what side he would have been on if he, like, had a choice.
Yeah. And reading it, like, through multiple times, you know, like, the first time I was just like, fuck this motherfucker. Like, I hated him, you know, like, and I was so happy that he got exposed, and, like, it's still extremely satisfying. But this, like, you know, on the third read through here, now I'm like, you know, when he loses his kin shield, and then, like, just the amount of pain in his voice where he's just like, let me just, can I go, please? Like,
yes.
And then you're kind of like, I started kind of feeling for him a little bit this time around.
Yeah, so the thing that undercuts him is that he does go out sad once he gets beat.
Yeah.
He is broken utterly. But he, like, think about when he sacks Vitra's ship, how he's just, like, walking through the meat straws,
sticking
like,
people,
walking into golds, and it's just gold on his armor.
Yeah.
And he's just wrecking dudes and wading through them.
Yeah.
So maybe, like, some of the shine from his duels, like, obviously Sephi was poisoned and weakened from that, you know, like, that takes the shine off.
Yeah.
But it's not like probably anyone but the main character that's killed in that duel, even with the leech.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
And the one thing that keeps me, like, my hate level pretty high is just, like, remembering how much he embarrassed Sephi, and just, like,
and him making Volga heart punch everybody.
Yeah, him doing that.
Yeah.
And just, like, the fraudulence and the stealing, kind of, like, how underhanded that entire situation was, and how they kind of, like, use the nature of the Obsidians against them. That's just gross. Like, you know, it's real heavy manipulation on a level that's just, like, you know, beyond any kind of redeeming quality for me. But this time I was like, for the first time, I kind of had some feelings where it was like, oh, this guy's just, like, just wants to retire. You know, he's had a long, hard life of like killing people.
But he has also killed a lot of people. So maybe he shouldn't get to retire.
Yes. No, he doesn't earn that retirement. So he got everything that's coming to him. But for the first time, I kind of felt a little tinge of, like, he's losing his friend. Like, everything around him is crumbling. And he deserves all of that. But it just, like, for the first time, I did have, like, a little bit of empathy for his situation.
You're such a softie.
It is.
I was like, heart punch him.
It did get me this time, too, on, like, the third reread of just, like, he is in the middle of a duel and drops to a knee at the second he gets a reprieve because his friend died. And then when Severo kills the sniper, he shouts out the name of them, too.
Right. Yeah.
Because these are their brothers. Their bond isn't any less significant than Darrow and Cassius and Darrow and Severus. They love each other just as much.
Exactly. They're just, you know, fighting for the wrong side or whatever, but they feel justified in what they're doing. So it's just like, you know.
Yeah. Like, he refuses to give up Atlas.
Yeah. Yeah. That was such an interesting part to me too. And just, like, Darrow's just still not understanding Atlas at all.
Yeah.
Was interesting.
Which Fa points out.
Yeah. He's just like, you're never going to get it, bro, are you?
Yeah.
Take me back. Can I make an analogy for Fa?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think we're all Dallas Cowboys haters here.
Sure.
And so he's very much like the Dallas Cowboys, where he beats up on the bad teams, but then the second he gets punched in the mouth, he folded.
I love that.
And that's a bit of an exaggeration. You know, he beat up on some Sephi, not a bad team. And it took Darrow a little bit to, but once he was
Sephi
broken,
had some players hurt,
broken.
You know, she had some players out on the injured list.
Yeah, she was hurt, you know.
Yeah. Sports. Okay, so take me back to, like, the moment, the first time you're reading this. What was that experience like? Like, give me the play-by-play of you reading for this for the first time. Are you hooting and hollering? Are you jumping around? Are you, like, reading on the train with people around you? Tell me about that.
So that it's late in the book, so it was a couple days later, I think. Definitely was not on the train, and I was just pumped. I think I was fully pumped. I think I was probably live texting you my reactions. You could probably search
I
our
think we
text.
were talking. Yeah, I'll have to go back and look.
Kept
And it
texting
was-
me, do you know what clang, clang, clang means yet? And I'm like, no. Give me a break.
So the funny thing is, except for when we did Words and Whiskey, when I read a book, especially the first time, I'm just reading it and I'm like blitzing through it. I'm not theorizing really. I'm just
Yeah.
So I was just pure vibes and elation, I want to say. So I would imagine I was hooting and hollering, getting my grandstanding and hot dogging in. But I was just like, fuck yeah, this is sick.
Yeah, I was
I think
definitely
his act-
like pumping. I was doing a lot of fist pumping the first time around, just like, God,
Yeah.
like get his ass, just like get him.
Yes, yes. And then this time, I would say, I thought it was kind of weird that Darrow was having like a full-on philosophical revelation in his head during this.
Yes,
I
During it.
understand he's in the flow state, but he's like having this very high-level conversation with himself, basically.
it is funny. Like there's like 2 whole pages of him just being
Yeah.
like full.
Not there.
EO
Yeah.
used to do this.
When
Just remembering EO. It goes from, this is literally the most challenging fight I've ever been in, to,
Yeah,
hey, remember when I was a kid? That EO. She was so beautiful.
She's great. She's brave. It reminds me, and this has only happened to me when I was performing a show that I'd done like 100 times. And so I'm like singing and dancing the same moves I've done over and over and over. And you just like forget where you are. Like I'd be on stage in front of people and being like, oh, I wonder if I turned off my straightener. And then like all of a sudden you like snap, like if anything goes differently, you like snap back to attention. You're like, did I just sing the right words?
Yeah.
Like you have no memory. And that's the only
Yeah.
time I've experienced something like that. And that's the flow, man.
yes. I
It's
mean,
like you're like just so your body takes over. You don't need to think about it.
right. And I really love like what he compared, or like how he talked about the amount of practice that he put in, like allowed him to kind of like unlock this, where he's like, he was putting all his practice in with Cassius, and you get to the point where you just like, you get to that flow state where you can just start making shit up. And as a former athlete, I understand that as well. It's just like, that's what used to happen in basketball. You practice so much, and then
Yeah.
you just get in a game and you're just
Your
you're
body
just
takes
reacting
over,
and
not your
playing.
brain.
Yeah. And it's an incredible feeling. So I thought Pierce like did a great job of capturing that.
Yes.
Yeah, especially after when he's out of it a little bit, but he's still waiting in the shallows. Thought that was
Yes.
real too, where you kind of have like that buzz still, but you're not quite in it, but you're like, I can almost grasp it again. Yeah, it was some of Pierce's best writing.
And then do you have favorite parts or sections from these chapters?
Yeah,
Like
you've
any, like,
mentioned a couple,
specific
like
scene?
anything that you haven't mentioned yet that stands out to you, or anything that you want to touch on as a favorite part of this section.
So obviously overall the playing, awesome. Chasing Fa through the islands and island hopping
Yeah.
and just
The
breaking
scenery.
him down, awesome. But something that occurred to me today when I was re-listening is that exchange we just talked about EO being the bravest and standing for the Breath of Stone. And this, like, I feel like especially the latter half of the series, Darrow reminiscing about EO is kind of bitter, or bittersweet at least, and he remembers because of the mob taking her memory and twisting it and making her Persephone and not EO. And he remembers, like, you know, she could be cruel. She was a little girl, basically. Like, she was foolish and angry and vindictive. But here he remembers a beautiful memory of her. And I don't, you know, I didn't reread the entire book in preparation for this episode, just that section.
How dare you?
So I don't remember if it was, you know, if that happens before, but that's stuck out to me as him really reconciling both sides of his nature.
I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that's a great point.
And I did love seeing EO in that light, not as like the victim who was brave in the end, but as like someone who was always brave.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I love, like, this is like where able to weave these old characters back into the story, and we get these old moments that we have never seen before from them, like the moment with Fitchner, this moment with EO, and I love how this
It weaves together.
Yeah, brings
we-
that stuff back in to
We
the
get
story.
the Breath of Stone because of Fitchner, because of the path.
Yeah, we're still getting like more characterization on these characters that are dead, even at this point in the series, which is really awesome. I liked your call out on the confess. Like one thing I really appreciated about that this time that I forgot about is how it gains momentum throughout the chapters. I love that.
I mean, he starts it earlier. They remembered.
Yeah.
And I was like, the theater. He like preps it the whole time
And so he's like setting it up, and then
before they even drop the dome.
right.
He's like, I'll let you live if you confess,
Right.
buddy.
And then like as the battle starts kind of turning, or the duel starts turning a little bit, like some people start picking up the call, and then it's like more people start picking up the call, and then it's like they start with the island hopping, and then it becomes this like snowball rolling downhill at this point where everybody's in on it.
Then it's an avalanche.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're probably going faster than the speed of sound, and the confess is catching up to them over and over and over again.
Right. That's hilarious.
But yeah, I just love that. Like that will hit so hard if that ever gets put on
Dude, I can't wait.
film.
We're going to have to
Like,
wait forever.
if that,
Even animated, that would hit hard.
Yeah, I was thinking of Arcane again, just like the steampunk.
Yeah,
how
it's-
cool that would be.
when the first like extra person or extra obsidian starts picking up that confess call, man, that's gonna like woo. I'm so excited for that. That's gonna be great.
Those weird little fucking Askamani start buzzing, getting angry.
Yeah. I loved how they were just like purely.
I know.
The
That is a
Askamani
great-
were like pure, like let's do that. They're like
Yes.
they're in for this whole
Well,
thing.
and like Fa and his homies described, the Askamani are like feral. Like
Yeah.
they are
Yeah.
very much black and white. Like,
right.
like killing and eating and fucking. That's
Right.
like all they're about.
And their religion is just like,
Yeah.
and then this, like, Darrow kind of used what Fa did to the Volk. He like invoked their religion and used that against them. So now Darrow takes that and then he uses it against Fa to pull the Askamani away from him, and they're like fully in on this. They know of Darrow from, you know, all of the hollows that have gotten out to the far ink.
That one guy like sees the sling bait. He's like, I'm good.
Yeah, Ashvar. And then they're just like in it. They're like enjoying. I love how much they're kind of like reveling in it. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like a drunk crowd at a football game.
Yeah. They're just like here for the
it's a
show.
religious experience.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
awesome.
That is a really cool. So there's like the pure dread, like, oh my god, is Volta about to murder Lyria?
Yeah.
That's
Gosh.
where this cuts off, right? That's
Yeah.
last section.
Right.
But then we're in this section,
Yeah.
and it's okay, dead horses times 2 in the fucking Leviathan. Very cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
And like the Reds that were, you know, the enslaved Reds who are carving the stuff up, they start howling immediately, which is cool.
Yep.
And then he pops out all like I picture the Askamani like literally buzzing. They're so excited
I
because
know.
this is
Well, he even says
like they're like this
they're-
is the sacrifice to the all.
They're like locusts.
Darrow
Like,
Yeah.
can't have it.
it said their strange armor like made a buzzing sound too.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're
Uh,
creepy, man.
There's so many like
Incredible. Yeah.
really great, and we have this in our Prime 5, but I think it's a good time to bring it up as we're talking about, like, there's really great echoes with the Institute throughout this. Obviously the dead horses, but just like Cassius, Darrow, and Severo flying off and howling, like that's just reminiscent of them, you know, stealing the
band's
cook.
back together,
I know,
man.
it's just like there's so many like of those parts that echo and rhyme, but work so originally in this book.
and then I saw echoes of the Gala Gala
yeah.
because when they crash down into like the feast
Mm-hmm.
and he's like stomping and there's meat flying everywhere. It's like another Gala Gala.
Yeah, and he's like turning, you know, similar kind of turn where the first minute of the duel, Fa thinks like he's got it, but then immediately with the poison stuff, like Daryl's like,
Yeah, it's that duel again.
Yeah, it's your Arcos moment right there.
Except he wasn't feigning being bad. He was just bad. He's lucky he made it for that first minute.
So this one might be obvious, but I want to make sure that you have a vote this week. So who do you have for Primus of the week this week?
Well, one of the things we value at HowlerPod, I'm inviting myself to say this, is loyalty to a friend. So can we dismiss Fa's claim? Yes, we can, because Darrow is our Primus of the week.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say Lyria for a second. I was like, I would have listened to the argument. Yes, I think
Lyria could be very much, but
or Cassius for working with Darrow. I mean, he was like the one that's like, dude, circle.
Yeah, I love the circle.
Don't shoot up. I mean, Darrow would have been chopped in half if Cassius weren't there.
Yeah.
And then the Breath of Stone,
Yes.
The book is the Primus.
Right. Darrow, creating his own fighting form, I think wins.
I'm just making other arguments.
Right.
I'm always Team Darrow.
I think there's a pretty good solid case for Lyria here. Like she really unlocks a lot of stuff. Like she gets Volga to change her mind, which kind of ultimately drives Fa into a rage and like causes him to flee the situation. So I think it's more of like a hockey assist for her than a real MVP performance.
It's probably Darrow though, but we'll find out later.
If not for her, none of this can happen, really, right? Because she had to beg Darrow to let her do this. And that distraction allows them to get in through the Leviathan and then challenge Fa ultimately. Obviously, there's probably other workarounds to it, but
in terms of
I don't want to discount Lyria. Yeah, and she, like you said, convinced Volga to stay and sit in her shit.
That part is incredible. I really love that part. All right, final question. I know that this segment is close to your heart, so I wanted to make sure that you get asked this question. Thomas, what are you into this week?
I thought this was going to be how was Cassius hilarious this week, and I was not prepared, but I was prepared to delight in the answer. What am I into this week? Can I hear the song, please? I can't.
What are you into this week?
Thank you. This week am belatedly into The Bear season 2.
Oh, nice.
Oh, you
finally got into it.
What's his name? Jeremy
Allen White, I think.
Yeah.
You like
guy,
that Haynes ad?
Calvin Klein ad.
Calvin Klein.
He did look good in that, but in the show, I would say on balance, he is ugly.
I know. It's so interesting.
Have you finished the season yet, or where are you at in it?
I did. Okay. I did. I finished season 2. I watched both season 1 and season 2 in a day, but separate days, about a month apart. I don't think it's as stressful as everyone else says.
I couldn't watch it, man. It gave me anxiety.
It is. I think it's so well done and overall feels good. I don't want to get into spoilers, I guess, but I think check it out. If you are easily stressed, then don't check it out because your mental health is what matters.
Yeah. Yes. Or if you have, restaurant experience that would give you like PTSD. I don't have restaurant experience, but I could imagine somebody working in a restaurant watching that and just be like, fuck this.
I will say, so I don't think this is a spoiler, so I'll say it. The reputation of the main character basically is that he's a dick, and that's why it's stressful, I would guess. But I would say overall, my manager at Panera Bread was a bigger asshole than him. So
if you're listening,
maybe that's why. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really great. I really enjoyed the second season. There was episode 6, episode 7 were both. Woo! Episode 6 put you through the ringer for sure. So be ready for that one.
Great.
Awesome. Well, Thomas, we appreciate you so much for coming on.
Thank you for coming with the scenery and the drama, because this is theater.
Thank you. Yes, I had to.
Your fire did go out. I don't know.
I turned it off. It was getting very toasty.
You're just sweating.
I have layers on. I'm layered up. Trying to think. I'm trying to think if I have any takes I want to draw off while I have the platform.
Yes, please. And then
if you've got anything spicy
we
for
also
us, let us
want
know.
you to tell us how to find Highkey
Yes.
Obsessed.
Plug your stuff.
Okay. So I just want to touch on, he's barely in this section, but Diomedes. I think,
Yes.
I was OG Diomedes lover, like yourselves, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
He's just
Saw
kind
the
of hot
potential
for
in him
some
early
reason.
and often.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
He's just cool. He does the right thing most of the time. And here's the thing about the only flaw of this book, probably. We have Darrow, we have Cassius, and we have Diomedes corridor fighting, and we don't see it. And then HowlerPod contains spoilers for the entire Red Rising saga.
Good job.
Cassius dies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We never see them. Like, can
that
you imagine
is a great point.
those three just together with Severo too, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
Slinking around.
those are like the three biggest, baddest motherfuckers. Like Severo's bad, but he's not like a tank like them.
Yeah.
Cleaning out those
And like to the
halls.
point where they bring Diomedes in, they're like, holy shit, this guy's gigantic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it
So,
was
like-
kind of like a yada yada yada.
It did get yada
Yeah.
yada'd, and then you come out of it.
And
I
maybe
think-
it got cut because the book's so fucking long.
In the very next chapter, they're like Diomedes and Cassius didn't even have a scratch on their armor, which I would have liked
Yeah.
to have seen.
Yeah. And Darrow,
Yeah.
I mean, Darrow has broken ribs and stuff. He should have probably just taken a
I
break.
feel like they could at least like get us down one hallway, and then Darrow kind of like, then we kind of get the.
Then he's like, I'm gonna go take a nap.
we get the yada yada, but
Yeah.
like at least give me like one.
Yeah.
Sure.
I want to
killing
see
9 guys
Diomedes
or
in
something.
action.
Yeah. Yes, I would like to see Darrow reacting to Diomedes in action.
I feel like
Yeah.
even when Lysander does it, it's when Diomedes moves, people start to die.
Yeah.
But it's not like
Yeah.
the vivid descriptions we get for a lot of other
We
characters.
still have not really seen him in full
Fighting.
metal.
And maybe we-
Panoply.
Maybe,
Maybe
he's
we
just,
will.
He's too badass to describe.
Yeah. Yeah, I think some of it, like some of what makes him so fun is kind of that unknown because you kind of fill in those parts with your own imagination, which is a valuable tool. Like you don't want to, give everything away because especially if you're describing someone as that badass, it's hard to like actually make them that badass. It's easier to just be like,
I think if anyone could do it, though, Pierce could do it.
he is really good. He makes Darrow he makes Darrow incredibly badass. So
Yeah.
I do think we'll get that in Red God. We'll get Darrow reacting to Diomedes and be like, oh fuck,
Yeah, that'd
that
be
guy's
great.
good.
And maybe it'll be fighting
Yeah.
better opponents.
Yeah, like put him up against some fucking
Some hallway golds.
grimaces or something.
Or
yeah.
the grays or
Yeah.
something. Not just ask money. Not just the little creepy guys.
Yeah.
Thomas, please tell us how can we
Yes.
find you and what are you up to this season?
So, Highkey Obsessed is available anywhere you get podcasts, except YouTube. It is first word high key, like the opposite of low key, and then obsessed. It has a Twilight Zone type logo. In March, that logo is going to be purple because the next season is all about women in history.
Whoop, whoop.
We have a couple episodes recorded already. There's going to be a bunch recorded and ready to go once a week. Erin will be on talking about Julie Daubigny, a bisexual, sword-fighting, opera-singing French lady.
I got on the opera singing one.
Incredible.
They were
It's
like,
gonna
do
be
you want
awesome.
to be on the architect one or the opera singing one? I was like, the one that's sword fighting.
Yes. That's
Yes. And we've had friend of HowlerPod and Red Rising and art and the environment.
And all books.
PB Doodles. We've had her on to talk about Jane Goodall, which was a terrific
Oh, wow.
episode. And so those will be coming out in March. So if you're, I had a good bit that I guess isn't as good anymore, but we had originally planned to record with Erin last week. And so I was going to be like, by listening, you're now a time traveler, but that's no longer the case.
Hey,
But yes,
they won't
and
know,
I'm
they won't know.
on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. I've never posted on TikTok, but that's all at Highkey Obsessed Podcast.
Wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you so much,
Thank
Thomas.
you so much.
This was super
And
fun.
I'll talk to you in a couple days.
It was. Yes, I'm excited.
All right. We appreciate you, man.
Ow!
Love you guys. Thank you. Yes. Ow!
That Apple bit, that was great. Got
Fantastic.
me rolling. Thomas didn't know that we were both doing costumes today.
Yes, you guys didn't even plan that.
It's just
You both love bits. One thing that both of you love is bits.
And I have buckets, multiple of costumes.
You do have a lot of costumes.
And I didn't buy any of this for this. I just had all this stuff.
Thank you so much, Thomas. That was a great conversation.
Yes. And check out Highkey Obsessed.
Check out Highkey Obsessed.
Also, if you want some good Bigfoot content, right?
Yeah, just hop into his DMs if you want to talk about Bigfoot, because he'll
talk to you about it.
I send him Bigfoot videos every once in a while. I'm like, is this real or what?
Yeah.
Have you seen this one?
Every time I go to Colorado, there's like Bigfoot stickers and keychains, and I'm always like, should I buy it? And I almost buy him one, but
Bigfoot guy.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about our Prime 5.
5 of our favorite insights and observations from this week's chapters.
All right, let's talk Breath of Stone versus the Mind's Eye.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, first, I think we don't see a lot of the Mind's Eye after Dark Age.
Right.
We hear about it a little.
Similar flow states, though.
He's like, I try to drop into it and it eludes me.
Yeah.
It's because you're on the wrong path, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Breath of Stone, I don't know. I like
Not
it.
as meditative. It's more like a...
It's still kind of like a meditative thing.
Yeah.
To me, it's more explainable. The Mind's Eye seems a little more like a superpower.
Yeah.
Born out of a grandmother's abuse.
Not necessarily a superpower, but kind of like a special ability.
A special ability.
Yeah.
Which is what a
like
superpower
well, not like I'm just I feel like a superpower, there's levels,
sure.
Superpower maybe
But,
highest level.
The Breath of Stone's like Batman.
Yeah.
Whereas
I get what you're saying.
The Mind's Eye is a little more than Batman.
An X-Men mutant or something.
Sure.
Yeah. But not quite Superman.
No.
Okay.
That's way too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never had a problem with the Mind's Eye. I know some people did because it was like a trump card. But I like the Breath of Stone more probably because it's Darrow and not Lysander.
And that's fair. And one thing that I think Thomas mentioned, similar language for both.
Right.
with the way that Pierce describes them, with the waiting in the shallows.
And I do like that we have two sides of the same coin with our good guy and our bad guy.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we'll get a Breath of Stone versus Mind's Eye matchup at some point.
I hope so.
That'd be fun. Like dueling chapters.
And then the Mind's Eye fails because he remembers what he did to Cassius.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about that. I'm super excited that Darrow now has this new fighting form that nobody knows.
Right.
And he's going to fuck people up.
Oh, yeah.
That just got me really excited thinking about that.
Great. I was excited to recently just read it. It's great.
And our next item, we actually kind of stepped on this one a little bit with our Thomas. But
Our Thomas.
Our Thomas.
He's ours.
Yeah, he is ours. We wanted to talk about Darrow, Severo, and Cassius flying off together.
Oh, yeah.
Just howling, chasing after Fa. This is just absolute chef's kiss.
Is it Three's Company 2? Is that it?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's been spinning.
But just give me this forever and ever and ever.
Well,
I just throw back.
I hate to tell you.
I know what's coming. But just this little throwback that just is so special. I'm so glad we got it. This is to me how the Star Wars sequels absolutely failed. They never brought Luke, Leia, and Han Solo back together at any point in those 3 movies. And here,
yeah, that really upset me.
Well, it's just,
I'm just kidding.
it's easy. It's something extremely easy and awesome to do, and it never happened. Just that is ridiculously dumb.
Their schedules didn't line up.
Well, there was some extenuating circumstances, but they still didn't do it. Anyway, we got that type of moment here.
Yeah. I wish we got more of it.
I wish we got more of it, but we at least got some of it.
Yeah.
And
the bros killing bros.
Yeah. I think it's just important. And then I also wanted to, give a shout out to Bedlam. It's Bedlam, my old friend.
Bedlam.
I feel like that is such a great.
My old friend.
Not only is Darrow like it's Bedlam, my old friend, but like that's
We're
Pierce,
like us too.
I know. Yeah, it's our old friend.
Old friend.
And it's like Pierce shouting
and
out
like
the fans.
Darrow got his groove back.
Yes. I feel like that's like a little, I don't know, nod to the fans because we all like said, hey, Pierce, you said Bedlam like 8 million times. He's
Yeah.
like, it's a great word.
It is.
Yeah.
He didn't say hazard, but we know. Okay, next step, we have Fa's reaction to the death of his kin shield.
Yeah, we talked about this with Thomas a little bit as well. But
not just the first of the 2 Gorgons that dies inside, but then the one that Severo kills.
Mm-hmm.
These are his best buds.
I know. This was just like visceral this time
and
around.
he's weeping.
Yeah, the first time, I'm not sure that I caught that pain.
Yeah,
But
right.
to see it.
And it's helpful to know what happens in these chapters when you're back, when Atlas and the crew is like hanging out and you're like, oh, they're like best buds.
Yeah.
They're like frat bros.
Yeah, that have been together for years on years on years.
They all were each other's groomsmen.
Yeah. Think about being way the fuck out there, very far away from the sun.
And they're the only like quote unquote civilized
dealing with monster people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to bring you together.
Right.
Yeah. And then speaking of the Askamani, our next moment on the Prime 5, I just thought this was like a picture perfect movie moment. And I know we like to call these out.
And there's so many in these chapters.
Yes.
It's all just one big movie.
Yeah, this is where Fa's like flying through the islands, and Darrow's chasing him. And we get to that one moment where like this humongous Askamani like stands up
with the black hair
right in front of Darrow with a giant axe. And everyone's like, "Ur, ur, ur." And then he looks at Darrow and just goes, "Ashvar?" and then
Darrow nods.
And he just like lets him pass.
No, he sits down, brushes a limb aside, and then keeps drinking.
Yeah.
And he kind of like laughs at Fa. He's like, idiot.
I think like this is one of those things that Pierce just does like so well and so smartly.
Like the glimpses.
Yes. And we just get this just enough humor to kind of, we've had this extremely tense moments, like a lot of tension that's just been digging at us. But then we get this little kind of like moment to laugh at like how great this situation is, and then
it's going our way for once.
Yes. And then the chase is on again. And then it also, not only does it do that where it kind of cuts the tension a little bit of this chase, but it also illustrates really well just like the turning sentiment of Fa's followers. And that is another thing that just illustrates that. So really perfectly kind of lays it out where it's not telling us, it's showing us. And that's just really good writing.
Take a drink.
All right. And then we also touched on this with that, Thomas as kind of the theme of the Prime 5.
Did you almost call Thomas Atlas?
Maybe. I should have said our Thomas.
Our Thomas.
Darrow still doesn't understand Atlas. And this is just still so problematic to me. Like, Darrow.
But how Atlas is so elusive. How could he? He's
true.
A slippery little snake.
Yeah. He's just like, and he really spells it out that he doesn't understand him when he's like trying to tell Fa that.
Like, Atlas doesn't care about you.
Yeah. Atlas thinks of you as a loyal dog at best. Where is he? It's like.
Yeah, like give him up. He doesn't care about you. And Atlas is like, we're best buds.
And you're right. Like I shouldn't have the expectation that he would understand him, but this is like just shows you how well.
And then Atlas or Fa's even like, you don't know anything about him, dude.
It just shows you how well like Atlas disguises himself
in his intentions.
Yeah, and just like how tricky that motherfucker is. Like
slippery little snake.
He's just scary and dangerous forever.
Yes.
Yeah. And then do you have a note card today?
I have my note card back. It's on my notes app.
Wow.
First of all, we backpack. We got another backpack.
Yep, piggyback right.
Is this our last backpack?
Maybe.
Lyrion Volga. She's like, don't carry me.
I'm not a baby.
Okay, I have a few. Pierce says Darrow's like flowing and he's like, the mistakes, I'm still making mistakes, but they create new opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminded me of a teacher it was like a video training class for the licensure exams. And he would always say, failing is a feature, not a flaw. Like everyone fails these exams. You're supposed to learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, I was like, it's like Darrow's learning.
Shit, I'm gonna start telling my team that.
Failing is a feature, not
Yeah.
a flaw. Learn from it. Don't get discouraged. Keep taking your tests. I thought that since we just had the Super Bowl, spoiler alert,
Yeah.
the fight started out like watching the Super Bowl, which was like tense and not fun to watch because it was like, are we losing? Are we losing?
Yeah.
What's going to happen? I don't like this. And then it turned into, it reminded me of Darrow like picking Fa apart. And I have an older brother. He's 2.5 years older. It reminded me of like when I was little and my brother would just like flick me in the head.
Yeah.
And then like I'd try to like hit his hand and he'd like pull it away and then he'd like come back, you know? So that's what Darrow was doing to
He
Fa.
kind of like broke his spirit with
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
he was like, anyways, was Evan, thank you for flicking me in the head. And then has someone done this? The artwork of EO standing in the tunnel with the dark behind her and a smile on her face. Like we see EO mostly hanging or like, you know, with like a mixed background or artsy. Like it'd be cool to just have her in the dark, like smiling.
Yeah.
And they call it like a weird little smile.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Lyria trying to pick up the Warsaw. I love. Lyria's just like, fuck yeah! She's
I
like,
will pick up Fa's word. I laughed at that too. I was like,
and
what
then
are
she
you
gets, like,
doing?
booted away.
Yeah.
and Cassie's like, get her out of here. She's just such a red.
Yeah.
She's like, ah! I wouldn't be surprised if she like tried to punch him or
That was
something.
such a great moment. Yeah.
And then last off, I don't know Monty Python this well, but the two Askamani that are like pissing off the side of the wall, and then Darrow like flies and they almost fall. It reminded me of like the guy on the wall in Monty Python. Anyways, okay, there was my notebook.
Oh, I have one final note.
Okay.
I will say that when I'm reading my hard copy of the book, and when I got to the end of chapter 76 and then turned the page and saw part 4 brothers slapped me right in the face, I actually teared up just reading part 4 brothers.
I'm sorry,
on
Ben.
the page. I'm
we
like,
could
I don't know how we're gonna get through.
I can light some candles.
Man, it's gonna get real here real quick.
Bring some tissues.
Yeah, like next week is like our heart to heart.
And this is what Pierce does. He builds you up and then he, like the Willow Ways, sweeps the trunk.
Oh, I'm not ready. All right, now that we've finished our Prime 5, it's time to name our Primus of the Week, where we choose the one character who conquered our proctors of plot, rose above the rest. Our Primus of the Week is?
It's Darrow.
It's got to be Darrow. Got his groove back. Breath of Stone.
It's me.
Pretty
I'm
much.
Darrow.
I mean, outdueled
I'm wearing my armor.
Volsung Ba.
And it's Darrow, like, finally learning from his mistakes. Failing is a feature, not a flaw.
Finding his path. New path.
We're building on this life that we've made. And I love it. I love that for him.
Congratulations, Darrow.
Good job, Darrow. Now we have the Howler mailbag.
Yes, so let's go to Cassie P and some tidbits.
Yes, Cassie P.
Cassie says no sign off this week either. So
she's warning us.
Yes. So be
Thank
ready. Yeah.
Hello, Howlers. It's Cassie with tidbits for chapters 71 through 76. I'm going to talk a little bit faster this time because I've been using up more time than I should, and I'm sorry. Tidbit 1. I stumbled across some tidbits I had posted on the Red Rising subreddit 4 years ago under an old account. You can still find them by searching the words, just the word, nuggets, if you're interested. Anyways, I came across this Morningstar nugget that caught my eye. A portion of Darrow's primetime speech on Phobos evoked the style of Churchill's Fight on the Beaches speech. What I mean by that is that they are at least similar in terms of composition. I went back and listened to the actual broadcast by Churchill, and it was anticlimactic at best, depressing at worst. It was meant, I think, to convey a grim resolve, and it did its job for its time. In any case, here's the quote from the nugget. We will howl and fight till our last breath, not just in the mines of Mars, but on the shores of Venus, on the dunes of Io's sulfur seas, in the glacial valleys of Pluto. We will fight in the towers of Ganymede, and the ghettos of Luna, and the storm-stricken oceans of Europa. For Darrow, the speech was meant to inspire. It was a declaration of his intent. Now, as of this book, most of those locations have made an appearance. The mines of Mars I see as the Rat Wars, the shores of Venus was Darrow's boondoggle and iron gold, the dunes of Io's sulfur seas we saw earlier when they fought Fa's obsidian warbands against Skarda. I don't think we've seen the glacial valleys of Pluto, but that seems too far away to show up at this point. And I don't know about the towers of Ganymede. The ghettos of Luna I attribute to the Shadow War with the Syndicate in books 4 and 5, and we are, even now, at the very storm-stricken oceans of Europa. Tidbit 2. A lot of attention gets heaped on the classical Greco-Roman references because that's what I know and I latch onto, but I felt bad for the rich obsidian backstory that Pierce has given us. Alas, even looking back, I'm not familiar with enough to really find any sort of sparks or connections in there. I did, however, find this little hidden chin reference. Skarda comes from an Old Norse word meaning notch, and commonly refers to someone or people with a cleft chin. So we have Cassius's chin, and then this Easter egg chin hidden in there. Tidbit 3, Gala Gala 2.0. I have been wronged. The only time that the phrase appears in Lightbringer is when Darrow accuses and challenges Fa during Fa's feast. In Golden Sun, the phrase only appears during the Gala Gala scene. TGR is brilliant in that Gala Gala scene. I have been wronged by this one, and this one, and that one. I love pointing to things in that kind of tone. No one ever gets it, but I get it, and I love it. Tidbit 4, Imagery. Darrow and his crew fly so low during the chase with Fa that they could see the expressions on the faces of two Askamani pissing off the seawall. This invokes any number of images. For the pissing part, Tyrion, pissing off the edge of the wall on the edge of the world. For image of a warband flying so close to ordinary people going about their lives, came up with two things for me. Japanese fighters flying over Haleiwa and Honolulu during the attack on Pearl Harbor, and then Allied Hueys flying over Vietnamese farmers in their rice paddies. Then there's Fa's words. The morning star has fallen from the sky. Evokes that biblical imagery of Lucifer, the literal light-bringer, falling from heaven. Given the size of Fa, I also saw Gandalf fighting the Balrog as they fell through that giant cavern towards the underground lake. And tidbit 5, lastly, I'll close and leave you with this. During Darrow's video game perfect chase sequence with Fa, I mean, come on. If he makes it to the Pandora, he'll nuke this entire island. That's a perfect video game, scene sequence setup. Now you have to go chase him down and make sure he doesn't get to the Pandora. Anyways, Darrow mentions the phrase, "What will be," as he goes into his bloodlust. Now, I want to invite everyone to close their eyes if it's safe, slip into Red Rising TV mode, and create that battle chase montage of chaos and carnage, of weaving and dodging, of particle beams and torides of superheated plasma, of blue-tinged contrails, and hundreds of tiny pollen-like specks, of splintering wood and spilling
your own kind of music, like the slow-mo thing,
Yes.
or any
Yeah.
like Deadpool or
Yeah, gives you kind of
Guardians of the
Kingsman,
Galaxy,
Deadpool
Kingsman.
type vibes for sure.
I love it.
That is great. Great call out, Cassie. That was fun. I'm ready to play the Red Rising video game now that you mentioned it.
And I did
literally
text
can't wait for
Ben
that.
and Miles earlier today, and I said, I'm sorry, but them in the dome with the spiked armor, I could not help but think that Fa was Bowser. And it was like the final boss.
Yeah.
And you're like, doon, 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 the small Mario.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck.
You and Cassie were on similar wavelengths this week.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
for
I
sure.
thank you, Cassie, for the tidbits, but that last one with the music, you've outdone yourself.
Fantastic.
Wow.
All right, we've got another voicemail here today. So
Hell
let's
yeah.
go ahead and listen to that one.
Hey, Ben and Erin. It's Nate. I know most of the voicemails you guys receive have smart literary analysis of Pierce's work, but I'm not much of an intellectual, so instead, since it's Super Bowl week, I thought I would share my Super Bowl player Red Rising comparisons. I'm sure no other Red Rising podcast will have this analysis. First off, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are Virginia and Darrow. No explanation needed on that one. George Kittle, Severo, a little crazy, but you definitely want him on your team. Christian McCaffrey is Cassius. They're both pretty boy badasses. Andy Reid is Kavax, both goofy old strategists. If you don't think Andy Reid could be a telemanus, you need to Google the video of him at the punt, pass, and kick competition when he was 13. It'll all make sense. And lastly, you're not going to like this one, but Patrick Mahomes is Lysander. I liked him at first, but have grown to hate him. Of course, as you guys know, I'm from Denver, so this is coming from a disgruntled Bronco fan. I probably lost most of your audience with that, but since I recorded this before the Super Bowl, I want to wish your Chiefs a begrudging good luck on Sunday. I'm sure we'll hear about it one way or the other next week. But the real reason I called was to thank you guys for how much HowlerPod has enhanced the books for me, and I'm sure other Howlers as well. I loved the books before I found your podcast, but now I'm essentially completely obsessed. I could never have imagined listening to a book podcast, let alone traveling by myself to an event like HowlerCon before I found you guys. But I'm so glad I did. HowlerCon was one of the most fun nights of my life, and I met some awesome people there. You guys have really created an incredible community, and you should be really proud of that. Erin, I'm not sure if it will make you famous with the masses, as you told me was your goal in Tulsa, but you guys are both stars to us. The chapters we read this week really reminded me of how much your podcast has meant to me. I still remember the glee I felt when I read these 3 words for the first time. Clang, clang, clang. Keep up the great work, guys. OMNIS VIR LUPUS.
Wow, Nate.
Dude, Nate is a homie. We went all night with Nate.
Nate, that was so nice, dude. Thank you very much. That was you gave me chills.
And I don't even know who all those people are. And I'm a Chiefs fan. And I'm like, I'm sure people...
Well, some of them are on the 49ers.
Okay, I was like, who's that guy? And how dare you, Patrick Mahomes is not Lysander. We're not friends anymore.
And now that they've won, we appreciate your good luck. We needed it.
So last year, Super Bowl, I was snowboarding, and I have like an XXL t-shirt from Walmart that I wore over my ski gear. And last year, everyone was like yelling at me and booing and like, F the Chiefs, you know. This year, though, everyone was like, where's Taylor? like
that's weird. I thought we were way more liked last year.
I know. And then lots of people were wearing Chiefs stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's just like because we're playing the 49ers.
Lots of Kansas people.
And like they're all on the West Coast. They're not in Colorado.
Yeah.
I did have one Go 49ers yelled at me. And then I didn't have a comeback.
That guy's having a bad day today.
I was like, he like skied past. So I was like, I missed it. Gotta get that guy.
Well, haters can suck it.
Haters gonna hate.
Because
we
went back to back, bitch. All right.
Thanks, Nate.
Nate, that was extremely nice. We
next up.
Really appreciate you.
And we miss you, and we'll see you at next HowlerCon.
You had great comparisons, except for Patrick.
And that voicemail was mostly for Ben.
Yeah, Patrick deserves better.
Sports. We have an email from Jen G again, and the title of the email is Akari Bear Witness Loads Dishwasher. Hello, HowlerPod. I have a question for the more martial-minded howlers. What exactly constitutes an honorable weapon? Because full metal panoply or not, if honorable weapons are agreed upon and my opponent showed up with a fuck-off gigantic weaponized chainsaw, I'd call shenanigans. I thought that too.
That's a pretty good point.
It was just like... Brrr.
Yeah, what's
going on here?
What's under the definition of honorable there? You can't use guns, I guess.
Yeah, Lysander, you can't use guns.
I would think that probably
not honorable
fits. Yeah, I would say based on
no honor.
Yeah, no honor, no time.
Akari Bear Witness changes topic. Volga Man, really, hun? I know you had it hard, but you ripped out 12 hearts. Was it 13? How many colors are there?
13 hearts, I think.
I can't remember. The pyramid.
I think there's 14 colors. 13.
Here's the thing, though. I think it's really important to hold a bit of grace, if not forgiveness, in reserve for Volga. For Volga, I don't think Volga lost herself. I think Volga has never really had a chance to actually know herself, and I think she's in full survival mode at this point. She was a test tube baby discarded for reasons beyond her control to try and survive on Luna. I love Ephraim, fucked up asshole that he was, but while he may have created/represented a type of safe harbor for her, he was not a good one. He used her and largely only educated her in directions that would further his own ends. His heart made it to the right place in the end, but Volga's formative years were very much shaped by a different Ephraim than the one that we've come to love. Volga has gone from test tube reject to art scammer, freelancer reject. Think back to the story. Not a lot of respect here, just mild to moderate scorn from her teammates. That was in parentheses. To Obsidian/Askamani reject. She sort of knows what she wants. She mostly knows what's right, but does she? That was me. Does she? But she doesn't really understand how to get there, and she doesn't really understand the shape of the worlds because of all her father figures have strung her along. That's true. She's a sweet baby. After Fa got in her head, I think she locked away the part of herself that thought and felt deeply to try and see Volga in the light of a person undergoing long-term abuse and isolation. Her abusers may not have laid hands on her, but they still damaged and crippled her heart and soul in countless ways, and she's had no other frames of context for her life. Of course, her first response is to grab Lyria, her only real touchstone to what is good, and try and escape. Also, Volga answering, "It was a sign of respect," to Lyria's, "He ate Ephraim's heart," was hilarious.
That was a little too much.
Which was a sign of respect.
It was a sign of respect. That is a really great point, Gen G. I read this email yesterday, and I was like, I was too harsh last episode.
I mean, we love our girl Volga.
You know we love our girl Volga.
She's got to make up
She can have the second muffin now. I'm still taking the first muffin.
I'm going to hold the muffins until we see if she can, account for.
I'm still taking my favorite muffin, but she can have the next muffin.
She can have the raisin muffin.
Yeah.
Do they make raisin muffins?
I don't know. Probably.
Craisins. Akari Bear Witness feeds my fish. Oh, how's your fish?
We got several emails with people talking about what they would do with Akari Bear Witness.
And that's all thanks to you, Ben.
I was really happy. I was so proud of the
You're
Howlers.
a memeable guy.
I was really proud of the Howlers on that one.
Okay. RE the Askamani and their various physical descriptions. The Askamani were originally Obsidian, right? From the Dark Revolt, who were never captured. They stole carvers and the like and bent them to the uses of the Askamani. So we're talking Obsidians absent the control of the society, modifying themselves in whichever badass ways they see fit. Dudes, you know what? Keep the asteroids. Listen, hey, if we can keep Pluto and Neptune, you guys can totally have the whole Oort cloud and everything else. Please don't come for us. Okay, thanks, bye, the society. Akari Bear Witness goes to bed early because I'm old.
Jen.
Thank you, Jen.
That was
great
awesome.
email.
That was just great points. Wonderful humor. Jen, you're a pro.
I'm also about to go to bed, not early, because I'm podcasting. And I'm tired. Just kidding.
All right. You know what it's time for?
What are we into this week?
Erin, what are you into?
I'm into a musical artist, also actress in Mean Girls, the musical.
Mm-hmm.
Movie musical, but she was also on Broadway. Renee Rapp. She recently performed on SNL and did a great job. I like her album Snow Angel, and the songs I like best on the album are Snow Angel, the what do they call it, title track, and Tummy Hurts.
Tummy Hurts.
She's just got a great voice. There's another song.
Is this like poppy stuff, or what are we talking about?
Yeah, pop.
Yeah.
Full pop.
Full pop.
Full metal pop.
Full metal pop.
There's another song. It's like In the Kitchen or something. Not on that album, but I've been listening to it for like a year or more, and I love it. It's on like my Moody mix on Spotify. And then I was like, oh shit, that's Renee Rapp too. She's great. Ben, what are you into this week?
Wow, guys. So this was a
Besides
tough
True
week.
Detective.
Yes, because I started watching True Detective, Night Country, banger. It's terrifying.
And you watched it on a plane and you yelped out loud, right?
I was like wanting to scream so bad.
There's some gotcha moments.
Oh man. So yes, that's kind of what I was into, but you said that last week. So in an effort to have, something original, we've been just sucking up Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift content over at our house. It's been a lot. Like Super Bowl was on Sunday. We're big Chiefs fans. No, neither me or my girlfriend are Taylor Swift fans, and I really do not connect with Taylor Swift's music, but we're like, gosh darn it, we're going to listen to some Taylor Swift today. So we listened to like 2 to 3 hours of Taylor Swift while doing other stuff, getting ready for the Super Bowl and hosting like a little Super Bowl party. And I would like to declare that I now have a favorite Taylor Swift song.
What is it?
It is Cruel Summer. That's a banger. Okay. I don't think she has.
Is that the one that's like, Dear Summer?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
That was a bad representation.
I will say, like, for me, she doesn't have a ton of bangers, but that one is a certified.
I don't think you're her target.
It's a certified banger. So yes, I really gave Taylor Swift a real college try this weekend. And
we listened to a lot of Taylor because we were on a ski trip with our friend Ashley, who stands Taylor, and I made Ashley a friendship bracelet.
Wow.
With KC Chiefs on it.
I do love Taylor Swift and how involved she is with, and I love her and Travie together.
They're so cute.
It's fantastic.
And I mean, all the content that of them like partying after. Her parents are there.
Give it all to me. Ugh. Yep. So that's what I'm into this week.
So you're just shipping.
Yep.
That's what you're into.
Yep. I want to eat it all up.
America's sweethearts.
Yep. Hate away, America.
What's coming up next week on HowlerPod?
We're going to do chapters 77 through 83, part 4. Brothers.
Are you sure you want to? We could just...
We can stop right here.
Yeah, we could
be satisfied.
Live our lives.
All right. Let's get out of here.
Thanks for all the love. we quit. Cassius lives on. Okay, Howlers. We don't quit. We'll be back. Special thanks to Miles for our episode art. Follow Miles at Ben Ski Designs. Special thanks to Nick Brenlow for the amazing voice work. Special thanks to Red Prince Rising for my helmet. Ben has one too. It doesn't fit on the shelf. His has like rainbow shield.
Yes, I love it.
You'll wear it next time.
Sure.
Yeah. It's hard to podcast when you have a helmet on your mouth. Follow us at HowlerPod, Instagram, X, Facebook, Etsy, email us howlerpod@gmail.com. Leave a voicemail 1-800-516-1540. The links to all this is howlerpod.com. Tell someone about the books this week and rate and review us 5 stars only. If you don't give us 5 stars only, then we'll rip your heart out and say unworthy.
All right. Thanks, Howlers.
OMNIS VIR LUPUS. Oh!